Hello everyone, I am Jason Gardner. This is Group 6, and tonight we'll be discussing genetically modified animals. Here is a quick overview of the several different topics we'll be going over. The history of genetically modified animals. How do you genetically modify an animal? Why genetically modify an animal? Which animals are being modified? The accuracy of altering DNA. Can society benefit from this? The ethical issues and the controversial problems. The history of genetically modifying animals. Artificial selection was the first form of genetic manipulation dating back to around 7800 BCE in East Asia. This is the process of selecting animals or plants for their desired traits and having them reproduce. Over time, this has caused significant changes to these species. In 1973, Herbert Boyer and Stanley Cohen worked together to engineer a method that allowed them to genetically modify organisms. They were able to cut a gene out of a bacteria and paste it into another using restriction enzymes, making the modified bacteria now antibiotic resistant. 1 year later, in 1974, Rudolf Janzik and Patrice Mintz utilized a similar technique to Boyer and Stanley Cohen to make changes in the embryos of mice. The Asilomar Conference of 1975 was a three-day debate by scientists, lawyers, and government officials that created the future guidelines for genetically engineered experiments. In 1980, the Supreme Court rules that GMOs could now be patented. The FDA approved in 1982 the first medication made with genetically modified organism, Humulin. This medication was prescribed to diabetes patients. 10 years later, in 1992, the U.S. Agricultural Department approves tomatoes as the first genetically engineered crop. But it's not until 2009 when the FDA approves Atrin, the first product made with a genetically engineered animal. This drug is used to treat a blood clotting disease. How do you genetically modify an animal? When scientists genetically modify animals, they make changes in the genetic makeup of the animal. This is done by removing, adding, or changing the animal's DNA sequences. In the early stages of genetic engineering, the primary technology was transgenesis. This is the transfer of genetic material from one organism to another. New technology gave scientists the ability to remove, add, or change the animal's DNA sequence. There are many different ways for scientists to alter the animal's DNA. Viruses or bacteria can be used to infect the animal with the new DNA. DNA can be coated onto tiny pellets that are then fired into the cells of an animal using a special gun. A very fine needle can be used to inject the fertilized eggs with the new DNA, and scientists could use electric shocks to create tiny holes in the membrane covering sperm and then inject new DNA through these tiny holes. Why genetically modify an animal? Well, scientists believe that with genetic engineering, many benefits will come, such as the advancement of human health, enhancement of food production, optimize animal health and welfare while reducing environmental impact. Are scientists accurate when genetically engineering animals? Scientists are not able to precisely add new genes, and this could lead to unstable DNA sequences. At any point when changing the DNA of an organism, unpredictable side effects can occur. These side effects could lead to instability, the creation of new toxins or allergens, and changes in nutritional value. Genetic engineering is different from traditional breeding and carries various risks. Nature has natural laws that keep species from mixing with different species. Barriers such as jellyfish genes given to pigs giving them glow-in-the-dark noses or Arctic fish genes that gave strawberries and tomatoes frost tolerance would not be possible. Which animals are being genetically modified? While there are two groups of animals that are mostly being modified, first there are farm animals and secondly there are research animals. Animals such as pigs, sheep, chickens, and cows are livestock that are modified. Goals for these animals are to increase food quality, disease resistance, and productivity. Research animals. With the use of animals, scientists have been able to get a better understanding of gene function, modeling of human disease to either understand disease mechanisms or to aid drug development. Ethical issues. Animal rights are rights believed to belong to animals to live free from use in medical research, hunting, and other services to humans. Genetic engineering violates animal rights because it treats animals as only as human property instead of their own individual being. While animal breeds only for research are often intentionally created with genetic defects, and these defects may well cause an animal to have a bad quality of life. The controversy. There are many groups such as PETA and other organizations that believe these experiments do not increase animal welfare. Also, animal rights are being taken away. A high percentage of these embryos that undergo genetic engineering do not survive. Many of the reasons that animals get modified have nothing to do with benefiting the species. Also, that selective breeding could be just as effective as genetically engineering. Each year, there are more than 100 million lab mice that are killed. When mice are genetically engineered to develop cancerous tumors or other infectious diseases, how does that mouse have any quality of life? The controversy for genetically engineering animals. The advancement of human health. The genetically modified animals are being used to produce important medical products in large quantities. Increase The increase of food production livestock can be engineered to produce more while staying the same size. Also, better quality of life for animals. Animal welfare is increased because they can be engineered to be disease resistant. Conclusion. Genetic engineering provides many new opportunities for the future. That is done by altering DNA in animals. Whether it is good or bad, it can be used to further medical research and increase food production. Both farm animals and research animals are being genetically engineered, while ethical issues pertaining to animal rights and animal welfare are being discussed. There are many people who are against genetically engineering, and there are those who agree with it.